Hi. Hello, Fi. It's 12 minutes past 8 now on Kiwi.
Issues of the day under T-Radar.
Talking issues today from the comfort of his vehicle in Riverhead. It is T-Radar. Good morning, T-Radar.
Good morning. You know, I am tempted to talk to you while just driving around, just to make the most of those last few days of car-based driving and talking freedom.
Just because you can.
Just because I can. What must be the end of the week, I guess? November, coming up very soon.
Sunday, it's, the new law kicks in. Sunday,
fun day. Marvellous. Well, sure, in the future, it'll be quite annoying, won't it? I saw one policewoman who said, she was a spokesman for something. She said, in order to avoid any phone-based distraction, she puts her phone in the boot. And if it rings, she has no option not to answer it. I thought, well, that is a magnificent lack of self-control you're displaying there.
Why don't you just turn it off?
Or just ignore it. Just press end or whatever it may be. I suppose you can't even pick it up and press end. That would be distracting too.
I put it in the boot.
Yes, the AA has come out and said, look, it's not the talking, it's the actual conversation itself, regardless of whether your hand's free or not. It seems that we can't, manage to have a conversation with someone on the phone, even with a hands-free kit while driving, which makes you question, perhaps should there be a cone of silence over the driver's seat when you're driving?
Yeah, but
with other people in the car.
It's not. Yeah. I know.
It's a different kind of mental agility to use a telephone conversation.
It is, because the person's not in the car, and it's a completely different kind of conversation. They don't have any perspective on what you're doing.
Oh yes, they can't tell you that you're in a difficult period at lots of corners and roundabouts and pedestrians. Nonetheless, let's hope lives are saved, particularly after always depressing on a long weekend. We're so obsessed in New Zealand with that sort of the scorecard of deaths on the road.
Well, scorecard of deaths, and also learning to drive. I noticed that's always a big thing on Labour Day, and I know I was stuck behind someone on the way from A to B yesterday who was learning to drive, very heavy on the brake.
Right, yes, I saw someone in Picton, frantic on the steering wheel. I was sitting there having a coffee, and some young chap came up. I thought, that's a strange sort of amount of steering you're trying to do to get that car in there, and then I saw the big yellow L.
Yeah.
I went, I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bless
him indeed. Nonetheless, so all these people learning to drive, I don't know how that's going to help the obesity epidemic. Some someone's come out today and said, recession, bad for the triumph over obesity, particularly with all the fast food outlets now using the cheaper trans fat. They had gone to the more expensive, better for you sort of fats, but apparently swinging back the other way.
Oh. And I suppose people are getting. Apparently takeaways is up during a recession, so that kind of makes sense.
Yes, well, goodness only knows what kind of fish they're eating, because apparently, a study came out, snapper over $50 a kilo.
Goodness.
For the last couple of months, $50 a kilo.
Yeah, that's probably what it's worth, though. I think you
see, the fishermen were complaining, you see, because they'd been forced to, discount it to the supermarkets, below what, supermarkets with the enormous buying power force these sort of discounts, and then going out flogging it off for a much higher price. There's no shame in the supermarket industry, is there?
No.
They're there to gouge it from our pockets. But you'd think twice about paying $50 for a kilo of snapper.
Wow. Go out and catch your own.
Well, it's cheaper. You just better, afford to buy a boat and run, even with the high price of fuel. Go out, and that way you also get a bit of exercise and some fresh sea air. Unless, of course, you're in Christchurch.
Unless you're in Brighton, where the air is not so fresh at the moment.
The air is not so fresh, no. It never ceases to be interesting, Christchurch. A German magazine, I think it's their equivalent of National Geographic. They've just done a big article, all of it, 14 also different articles about New Zealand, the Kakapo and mountains and various other things. They did one about Christchurch. And they said that Christchurch was subjected to car-based terrorism.
It's probably true on a Friday, Saturday night. I wouldn't disagree.
And they've had interviews, and apparently there's people coming over to, I think there's a German documentary crew filming a documentary about the boy racer scene down there. They're sort of glamorising it, really, aren't they?
Well, with the magazine is, but they're calling it terrorism, right?
Yes. Well, I guess there's a certain sort of urban chic to that.
Yeah.
But I think there could be, that sort of, I guess there's people who do join terrorist outfits because of their sort of coolness. Remember back in the 60s and 70s, the Bader-Meinhofs and the Red Army faction and all of that, joined by young people because they thought it was chic. Down there now, people will be joining I guess, are they roving bands of car people, or are they strictly sort of this individualistic mass that come together? I don't know whether are there Nissan tribes and Subaru tribes? I don't know.
Well, they're all destined for the crusher, apparently.
Apparently so. Perhaps the white power gangs will take care of it. Article I read in one of the papers down on the South Island over the weekend. White power is now patrolling a couple of the suburban suburbs because they're sick of all the trouble being caused by Polynesian youths, as they say. They didn't think it was white kids, and they said if we did find a European youth tagging something, we'd say, hey, that's not the white way. So it's almost a catchy little slogan.
Well, yeah, God, yeah, it's a story we've heard before.
Isn't it madness? And there they are, they're on the front page of the paper, and they say the police have abandoned these areas, just left them, and it's like, well... And the thing that surprised me was that got less sort of outrage than those Auckland grammar kids last week who were saluting that sort of the German flags in the museum.
Funny that.
Like, isn't it funny? We need to get an outrage perspective, I think.
Although, yet again, we wouldn't know about this story, and these people wouldn't be having their voices heard if the media just left them alone to do whatever they're doing.
Well, I guess that's right, yes. My favourite outrage story of the week, Jimmy Carr. Are you familiar with the work of Jimmy Carr, English comedian?
No, what's he doing?
Satirical. This week he's in trouble. He did a joke over in England where he said because of all the sort of amputees from the Afghan and Iraqi war from the armed services, he said, look, it is terrible, but I tell you what, we're going to have a fantastic Paralympics team in 2012, and hauled over the coals by that. And he said, look, I apologise if anyone took offence, but I am happy that I brought attention to the fact that all of these young men and women are coming home, losing their limbs. A couple of squaddies have come out, members of the armed services, and actually that's the same kind of humour we have, and they thanked him for bringing it to the forefront. But nonetheless, vigorous campaign against his humour by some of the tabloids, that sort of tabloid frenzy of censorship they like to have over there.
Well, when they do have a fantastic team for the Special Olympics, then he'll be proven right. He'll go, look.
He will be proven right. Yes.
Do they still call it? They don't call it the Special Olympics.
No, I don't think they do. I think they call it the Paralympics.
The Paralympics. There's nothing special about it.
No, there isn't. No, that term has gone out because it was patronisingly endearing.
Right. Okay.
Nonetheless, we'll speak again next week.
Yeah, we will. Leave you there to Riverhead. Apparently, the Riverhead pub there that's up for sale at the moment.
Is it really?
A mortgagee sale at that.
Oh, the one down by the river.
That's right. Could go for a bargain.
Crikey. Historic. Well, I tell you what, that's one of the more historic pubs in the country if anyone wants to get a bargain. I think they run boats from central Auckland up there. You can take a ferry trip and have a beer.
That's right.
Good Lord.
So this is a guaranteed clientele.
Yes, indeed. But no driving home from there. Get on the ferry.
A do-upper's dream.
A two-up dream, imagine that. I never really had the urge to own a pub. I always thought there'd be too many of your mates turning up and trying to bludge free beers. No wonder they go up for mortgagee sales. Madness.
All right, T-Radar, we'll catch you next time.
We'll speak again.
See ya. T-Radar there joining us from his car, safely parked on the side of the road in Riverhead, I believe outside the Hallertau Tavern, which was a nice spot to pop into on the weekend, actually.